What's going on, guys? Welcome back to RC Everyday. We're going to do some maintenance and some upkeep on the Volksrod. To me, a vintage sand scorcher SRB chassis that we've made into a rat rod. It's had a rough go. A lot of the rat rods have had a rough time trying to go to all these events and long car rides across the country, and this one was no exception. The body and everything's fine, but a lot of stuff has come loose, and the biggest issue I had was the tires. These tires were from a 90s Radio Shack car, and they just fit the bill the right size. I had these nice 3D printed spoke Model A kind of wheels. This one is really just disintegrated, partly due to the camber and partly due to just the age of the tires just giving out, falling apart. So even these are impossible to replace. I can't find any of those on eBay. It was a red shaker, and it was a Isuzu Amigo or a Isuzu Mu that was identical to the Tamiya body. Well, everybody bought those when Tamiya quit making that body and converted them to RC. There were some differences, but it was a good scale body, and they just threw away the chassis because it was junk Radio Shack stuff. And I did that same thing, but I kept the tires. And yeah, the other two I had were already messed up from me trying to put a beadlock on them. It just ripped the inner lip out of it. So those are the only two good ones I had, and they've made it a few years here on the Volksrod, but their day is numbered. Another couple little issues. My sunroof has come loose. I kind of think I want to make it open, like it's propped up, but I'm not sure how to go about that yet, so something else to look at. And the front grille is loose, so we got to take that apart and tighten it up. Another issue with that, we have the Night Customs motor, full thing. It's rusted out, looks good, but these only mount with one screw on that side, so this side keeps popping out from under the body, and then the body gets crooked, and I don't know another way to get this to stay put where I need it to go. So you can't really glue it over your gearbox, because if you ever have pinion issues or anything, you gotta take it off. So not sure if there's a good solution to that. Maybe if we fix the body mount situation, that won't be such an issue. But I've got some tires. We're gonna still run these same wheels, but the only thing I have that's similar size are the original Sand Scorcher, or these are Wild One or something tires. Something Tamiya SRB tire. So we're going to swap it to those wheels because those wheels are awesome. These wheels are okay, but they're not awesome. Plus, we've already converted this thing to have a 12mm hex. It's widened and set up just for these wheels, right offsets and everything. So yeah, we'll start tearing this thing apart. The body mount was very simple. Just this piece of sheet metal, and it stretches around the factory roll bar on the body, and it's bent a little bit over time from coming on and off, so it is not quite where it needs to be. So we'll do some fine tuning on that, and this has just come loose over the years from bouncing around. But I did a lot of work on this to try and get it to angle back a little more. There's a beveled piece of aluminum in there that's actually turned around the wrong way. So a little bit of cleaning up. My mirror is loose. I need to get some O-rings on the inside of that. But otherwise, the chassis and everything's good. I don't drive it much, obviously, because there's no electronics. I just got a basic servo in there on some RC 4-wheel drive recycled mounts. I think I replaced the steering tie rod end, and yeah, that's about it. It's pretty much the stock Tamiya SRB with 1/2-inch steel rails, moving the front out about 1.5 inches, and that's really it. Pretty simple conversion and all the scale stuff. Messed with the shocks a little bit, changed where they mount on the hoops to get them to set that low and have the camber that I was looking for. And I think I did also modify the front. Has some kind of bump stop on it somewhere I had to actually just grind off to keep the torsion arm, get it to actually go where I needed it to go. But yeah, I'm gonna start taking these tires apart. Looks like some teeny tiny Phillips head stuff, and we'll see. Hopefully they fit those wheels. They look like they will. We'll see. Alright guys, that was not fun. I had to actually put these in water to get these massive beadlock rings out of these old Tamiya wheels. Ended up breaking one of them because somebody put them together when the paint was still wet, and yeah, they were sealed up pretty good, and it was me. I painted those. So now the moment of truth. Will these fit? think they will. These are a little bit narrower tire. Not sure how the look is going to be. The outer diameter is the right size, so fingers crossed they fit pretty snug, which is good. I'm not going to be gluing them or nothing because these tires are old and brittle. They're not super brittle, but they're not as bad as the ones we had on there. But I don't want to risk it. May have to find some better tires later, and don't want to have these things not coming off. They actually fit perfect. Nice. We can get the back ring in without a pry bar. Nice. Sure they're pulled evenly all the way around. Alright, so the size is right. I'm going to mount the other one up, get them on the car, and we'll see how it looks with the stance. So the tires fit really well on the wheels. I think it's going to work out pretty good. They just not quite as wide. We'll see how it looks with the body on and everything. Next issue is this scale motor. This Night Customs scale engine. It just doesn't want to stay seated on here, so I'm going to try put a little two-sided tape on part of this. Make sure I get it on the right part. Got this really thin Tamiya stuff. It's not like foam servo tape or anything like that. And I've already wiped the gear cover case thing down trying to get it clean, so hopefully this will stick. Oop, backing. That's what I like about this stuff, the backing just falls right off. This just has one screw on that side, goes into the gearbox, and yeah, it's kind of holding. Put that screw in and see if it pulls that side off again. I've tried to wallow out this hole a little bit. Yeah, see, it just pulled it straight away from it. It seems like it's off just a little bit. So that may be what we do now. Just going to try to make that hole a little bit larger. Alright, well, it's still kind of a stretch. I've got it clamped on. We'll move that out of the way. Hopefully that will adhere while we're working on this front end situation here. So up in here, just got one screw holding this on, and we really need to reinforce that, so I'm probably just going to use some hot glue. Put a little thing up here and there just to keep it from spinning, because it's held on still. It just keeps spinning around. But first I got to figure out what size that is and get that bolt out and straighten up the spacer and try to make this thing stay where I want it. I think I got that all sorted out. All I did was take the spacer out completely. This was an RC 4-wheel drive leaf spring shim that I'd cut down to try to get the grill to angle down more. And I'd also shaved the edge of the grill, and it was just kept working loose. So just tighten that up, put a little super glue on the bolt, put a little super glue in the corners. Got the mirrors on better. They probably still fall off when I drive it. Now I just got to deal with this rear body mount. I need to tighten this up a little bit, and hopefully not too tight, because I remember this was very tight. And yeah, we'll see how this works. Not my best design, but wasn't a whole lot of options with this. You can see there's some holes here on the side. I tried to use body posts to mount it down here, but they really didn't have anything long enough to reach to the chassis rails I'd made. So it just kind of was the only option. Alright, this is going to be a challenge. The idea was that it would sit on there and then you push it down and it would pop into place. Not very easy to remove, but very easy to install. And we've already broke the motor. Yep. Alright, back to the drawing board. Alright guys, that really changed the look of the Bug for the better, I think. The tires and wheels, I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of a nod back to what it is. It's actually a vintage buggy. Got those cool Tamiya tires on there, and having that sunroof popped up, that just, I don't know, that sells it, man. I never did like that, and I think I was strapped for time when I did the chop top, and I just never had, no, I didn't even have the piece for the sunroof. That's what it was. I was trying to find one, and it took forever, and I had to just paint it to match and put it on there later, I think. So I never really liked the sunroof. It's kind of stuck out, so now it really sticks out. Just cracked open, made a little metal bracket out of some scrap metal that was sitting up here. A couple holes, scale bolts, boom, popped up sunroof. Quick and dirty. I hated to do that with tape in the front, with duct tape, but what else are you going to use? I need something that's kind of flexible, sticky, and yeah, I mean, there was really no other option for that, so it worked out. But I don't know, it makes the whole thing look proportionate better now with the tires not as wide on the back. And they're really grippy, and they're a lot firmer than the other tires, so they'll actually work a little bit better as well. I don't have any more electronics to throw in at this thing. It's got a motor and a servo, and that's about it. So eventually we'll have to get this thing back out and run it again. Apparently I got glue all over everything with my fingers. That's fun. But yeah, that sunroof just sells it, man. And the engine, the motor cover never would stay on, so I ended up zip tying it to the roll bar on that side. I got some black zip ties. You can't see them with the tires down. It's trashy, but it fits the build. We got to have some zip ties and duct tape on it, holding stuff together. And yeah, I'm loving how this thing's looking. But I'm digging this thing. And to do a little recap, so Tamiya, I think this chassis actually might have been an F-150. Vintage SRB chassis, rear motor, swing arm rear suspension, torsion bar front suspension, and stretched it with steel rails, remounted everything out front. The front tires are off of a 1/8 scale model car from the 60s, and they're pretty hard to find. The wheels are from Awesome Designs. He made me these kidney bean skinnies up front, and we chrome painted them and gave it my little rusty pipe look with the AK rust streaks. Matches the tailpipe on the Knight Customs motor. And yeah, he made those. I think he has those in his Shapeways store. But they're exact replacement size and width and everything for the Traxxas drag front wheels. I think it was the Traxxas. But Tamiya sand scorcher body, cut all up, made some metal filler plates, chopped quite a bit out of the front, and instead of cutting the rear, we cut it right here on the body, and that allowed us to just move the whole roof line forward to get the A pillar set back, chopped that B pillar out and cut it and put it back in, raked forward and then back. Just I had it glued, but it didn't hold, so I made little metal patch panels and bolted it back together. And yeah, it's just it is what it is. That's a lot of people. That's one way. Is the way that I prefer when people chop actual Volkswagens. A lot of people will try to do it traditionally, and then you end up with a giant strip in the middle. You've got to try to radius and match the curvature of the roof, and I'd rather just leave the roof alone, shorten the whole dang thing, especially being open-wheeled. It doesn't affect anything with the fenders and the alignment and stuff like that, and allowed us to get a lot more aggressive look out of it. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll wrap this one up. Keep it scale, and I'll see y'all in the next video.